Hello everyone, and Fraczon here, and today we're going to have some more battleship action with our New York Tier 5. So, I know I already posted a video of the New York, but let's say this was a much better game. I did it this morning, and it was pretty interesting. So, given my current situation, I'm a battleship, I'm rather slow, the battleship is fully upgraded up to 21 knots, and now I'm just checking my surroundings out. I'm intentionally moving towards the left side of the map, where usually enemy cruisers tend to bunch up, and I can see that some of our cruisers are answering fire. My only concern was the distance here, since, well, here I tried the shot on South Carolina and I hit the mountain. But my main concern was getting there too late. I have approximately 15.5 kilometers range, and I thought that maybe I could make it on time to the left side, and I could see that the distance was between 16 and 17 with some targets. However, at this particular moment I was very tempted to hit the Congo that seemed to be approaching at full speed towards this narrow strait, which seemed like the ideal position to hit. So of course I stopped my speed, but apparently the Congo wasn't making much progress. So I thought, well, maybe I can hit something else, maybe another South Carolina or St. Louis. And here I'm just checking the map just to be sure that I'm still moving to the left side. But here I start to realize that my allies are slowly, let's say, losing this battle to the left and are gradually pulling away. So my idea here is trying to maybe get a couple of salvos off and then to gradually retreat and follow the core group, since usually what happens in World of Warships is that when you go out on your own, you usually die. So here you see South Carolina. I think it's a pretty good target. The first two hits go in. I'm really hoping for a Citadel, since the lead was good and I was generally aiming for the right spots. I get rewarded by, let's say, 5 hits and at least in total 10k damage, which is not too bad. However, here I start to see that I'm pretty much surrounded. There's a St. Louis in New York, South Carolinas. There's really far too much, and further to my left there are only another couple of ships. So here I decide to cut speed because they want to, let's say, circle back. I have again the South Carolina in my sights, and the distance looks good. Also the cannon shots looks very good, and I decide to fire then a full salvo, even though the first 2 hits missed. And I get rewarded by a hit to the Citadel and finally sinking the enemy South Carolina. So, of course, after this I'm very content. I'm feeling ready to take on some more ships, but I do realize that the Aurora here in front of me is pretty much dead, and the St. Louis is even more. So I see 2 Omahas on the horizon, and if I'm going to take, let's say, this 180 degrees turn, I will have time to shoot at this Omaha, though I was worried that while I was turning in this 180 degrees, my cannons wouldn't follow soon enough. So this last salvo I just shot, I think was hastily taken, and if I remember correctly, I didn't manage to hit anything. I suppose I could have been slightly more patient and waited until the end. So here though I'm looking good because the enemy Omaha is retreating. Well, one is retreating, one is coming after me, but the distance is considerable, and so I'm trying to move again towards, let's say, my main battle group, because being isolated in World of Warships pretty much makes you a sitting duck. But I'm feeling okay. I mean, I've citadeled and sunk one ship. I have taken residual damage. I have my consumables all available, very little damage taken, and now I get to see this St. Louis. Appears to be slowly now making its way, and here I have all the time in the world to adjust my aim, because it's not exactly parallel to me. It's slightly, let's say the distance was 13, but I'm aiming for slightly less. And so I was hoping that with this second salvo I would be able to consider to make quite a lot of damage. I get rewarded with a precise 10k damage to the Citadel, and here I'm also trying to figure out how I'm going to maneuver. And here I get citadeled in my turn from that pesky Miyogi, I decided to pop the repair, which may not have been the best of ideas, because how the repair mechanic functions is that you can repair light and moderate damage, but you can't really repair a Citadel hit. So if you get hit for 10,000 by Citadel, you can't repair for 10,000. That's not the way it works. Anyway, shots are available and shots go towards the Congo. The first shot looks promising, but sadly enough, the rest of my shots miss. It could have been me having another, let's say, distraction aim, because here I needed to maneuver behind the island. But in any case, I think I'm going to have another pretty decent shot at the Congo as I move here between the two islands. And also we're rather close quarters for battleships, since we are at approximately 8.5 kilometers, though I do see there's also an Omaha, and in the back there's actually two Omas that are really close. And so here again I try to focus on the Congo, was looking for that Citadel shot, which is slightly escaping me. It's possible that the Congo did cut throttle to offset my aim, but I did the same. And I get another 7k damage in. That's not too bad. Though maybe in hindsight I may have considered saving my salvo for this precise moment when the Congo is at only 6 kilometers distance. Here I see some dive bombers coming in, but I've just started accelerating. I'm not at full speed, and that's going to be a problem. So I figure out that here there's really not that much I can do. I can just try to avoid getting hit by one or two, and I do get hit by one torpedo, which is still okay. In the meantime, I fire on the Omaha, and I do manage to sink it and hit to the Citadel. However, I didn't have the actually, I wasn't sure how much damage I would have taken from the torpedoes, so I thought that if I was going to die in that situation, I would have rather at least sunk another ship rather than heavily damage another one. So here I find in this very difficult position of being set on fire, being fired on by the Congo at pretty much blank range, and here I'm just like praying to the heavens that the Congo, let's say, captain won't give me a Citadel shot, because yeah, I'm barely at 8.7k here. I get hit for another 2k. But I'm rather happy, because at that distance I would have really expected to get sunk. So here I must admit I've gotten quite lucky. So at this point I decided it's time to make the most of it. I've popped my repair, so I'm gradually getting burned down. Managed to fire on the Omaha, and I'm definitely looking to do massive damage. The first shot looked okay, so I thought sure, I'll take another salvo. Distance isn't that high. And I get rewarded by a brilliant Citadel shot, about 12k damage. Here I'm about to die, but I do pop my repair, and it's basically a fight between the repair and the fire. And I wasn't actually sure if I can repair faster than the fire burns, but apparently repair does actually repair you faster than the fire can burn you. Here I considered cutting throttle, but then I see the Congo behind me, which incredibly again misses the salvo that could have literally crushed me. So I just plow on full speed ahead, looking for a new target. I mean, the same target is the Omaha that I had severely damaged before, and generally it's looking not too bad, because there's a St. Louis and a Omaha, pretty much good targets. The Omaha looks completely disinterested from me, and so I do take another couple of shots, and I do miss the first one, take another second salvo. There's about 8 shots going in, and double hit to the Citadel. Necessarily you destroy the cruiser. So at this point, I'm not sure what I should be doing, because I'm thinking I still have the Congo behind me, and the Myogi is rather far off. I'm not too disturbed by that. But I do see that St. Louis, and I see that I have 2 battleships next to me, and maybe the battleships had other priority targets. Honestly, I had no idea what the hell there was more than that St. Louis. So I'm thinking I might as well take on that St. Louis and leave the 2 battleships to deal with other, let's say, more important targets. So here I'm very cautious, probably too cautious. Here I should have already fired, but I wanted just to make a very clear and precise kill. And so I'm getting ready to fire and taking a test shot here on the St. Louis, but it's too late. I should have been faster to react. Well, not faster to react, but I should have deliberated less. And here I'm getting ambushed by a Furutaka, so rather than the cannons, I'm actually more worried about the torpedoes, and especially because I'd cut throttle to try and hit the St. Louis. I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have to go to full throttle, and I definitely don't have the time to turn all my cannons. So I will have to be moving counterclockwise rather than clockwise. And I'm lucky that the Furutaka has such terrible guns, and I'm finally in the position to be firing at him with pretty much point blank range at 4.6. So I do manage to do some pretty good damage, though I was really hoping to citadel him at that point. I'm very glad that the torpedoes missed, and actually quite by a grand margin, and that's the advantage of having cut throttle, because those torpedoes had been launched with considering my let's say throttle being at a quarter or half, but now I'm not. I'm very tranquil. I'm not fearing this Furutaka at all. I know that its gun, well, its guns don't really pack much of a punch, plus they have a very high reload rate, and the same goes for the torpedoes. So here I'm just waiting for that Furutaka to, pop out, and it should be a very easy kill at 5.3 kilometers. But here I was just afraid that it would have been shot down by one of the other battleships. However, I do manage to take it out as clearly expected. At this point, I am not exactly sure what I should be doing, because I see that a friendly battleship is capping, the enemy is capping, and I'm not sure yet if our aircraft carriers can hold the battleships off, because maybe I honestly don't know how they are. And I see the New York on 9.6 kilometers. I'm not sure if I should engage it, but then I gradually start to make the realization, well, I would have liked to hit it from here, but now it's too late, because I'm afraid I won't be able to hit it from here. The grand plan was to actually ambush it, let's say, from behind this island, but here I just realize it's pointless, that I can't manage, just because of how the stopping time of the battleships is sometimes rather difficult to administer. Therefore I decide that I will have to charge on for the good of the team, because otherwise there's no way we can win this, because of course there's a Miyogi, and I think there's another battleship hidden to my left. So I'm actually facing 3 battleships. Okay, one I can't see, one is behind the island that is capping, and then there's a Miyogi. So I'm actually thinking I'm pretty much navigating towards our death. But before I get sunk, I really need to, let's say, save our base. And I'm very lucky here that the Miyogi completely misses me, and I had made this turn. And here it's extremely important that I hit that New York in order to reset the cap. So my first shot doesn't look too great, and here with the second salvo I'm really hoping to get some shots in. I'm very glad that the enemy New York hasn't done too much damage to me. I managed to defend the base, so reset the enemy cap. I also did a good 6,000 damage, I'll take that. No citadel shots, but that's okay, or battleship versus battleship. I popped my last consumable, and here I'm just looking to just do some damage and reset the base points. That's my only concern right now. It's not about sinking, it's not about evading or doing anything fancy. It's just about trying to, let's say, be in a position to stop the enemies from capping the base. And who knows, I might even survive. I mean, at this point it doesn't matter, because it seems that that the enemy aircraft carrier doesn't really have anything to contrast our 2 battleships that are capping. So here I'm just hoping to, maybe with a bit of luck, survive. I mean, I have a Miyogi at like 5 kilometers, and I'm only at 2k health. But we advanced the cap, and apparently I'm not being shot at, which is rather a miracle. And here I think I managed to get off the last salvo, and I survived with 281 health. So, having seen this, I managed also to get the achievement of Confederate. I got some hits to the Citadel, and also the Dreadnought. I managed to pop all my consumables and survive 120% of my damage taken. In terms of team score, I was actually the first, which was very good, considering that in more steps I thought I would have been killed. And a grand total of 100k damage. So, having given you, let's say, this fun game, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, you're as always more than free to give them. And if you like the video, I mean, share, like, comment, really, whatever you're in the mood for doing. And hopefully I will see you guys next time.